We see someone just typing slash Rickroll. Crystal Maiden, what are you doing? I think she's AFK. Crystal Maiden, what are you doing? She does have a ward up here. I don't know, I'm just kind of bored watching Crystal. What the heck? I'm confused. Oh, she was replacing that ward. She was just waiting for it to expire so she could get maximum time on the new one. So I'm not sure if that's a great choice. I've definitely done that before as a support hero, been in the position where you're standing still because you want your ward to expire before you drop a new one because you don't want to be wasteful. But every second you stand around, you're risking your life and you're not being somewhere else. I've I've been it can work out quite poorly and you don't really gain much. But it worked out fine for her there, but it is a risk. And the benefit you're getting for taking that risk is not very notable. And this is a lovely little bit of farm to split between the Rashta and the Potom, I guess. Went about 50-50. There were dollar signs all over the place. Let me just pause this and mention everyone's creep stats just briefly. So the Necrolight's up to 143 at the 21-minute mark, so that's very good for him, I have to say. But I think he's been getting that a bit at the expense of his Morphling, because his Morphling's only at 93. I think, frankly, I really don't like this Necrolite at all. He's got so many creep stats, and he's used them to get an ultimate stick. And I think if he had given the creep stats to his Morphling instead, and perhaps gotten a different item, then things would have worked out a bit better. The Potom only has 95, the Rash has 101, and the Tri-Lane is just absolutely nothing. So the Sentinel really does have the more farm, because they have 3 farmed heroes against 2 on the other team. Not like super farmed, but they're definitely ahead. No doubt about it. Not only that, but they've taken out the Sentinel, that is, excuse me, have taken out 5 towers, or 6 towers, sorry, 5 outer towers plus 1 base tower, whereas the Scourge have only taken out 1 tower. So that's a 5 tower difference, which is pretty huge. It's 1,000 gold for everyone on their team. And this Sven is really struggling to farm. He's reduced to farming neutrals with the help of a Witch Doctor, which is not the fastest way to farm in the world. It splits the experience up for 1, and for 2 the gold's not great. So Sentinel really does have some map control. Actually, let me check out the wards real quick. So Sentinel they've got a ward here and a ward here and one in their woods, and they're pinging like mad. This Witch Doctor Rashta. I'm not quite sure why, but anyway, those are their wards. Whereas on the other side, we see they've got a ward down here, check out the rune, another ward here, a defensive kind of ward in their woods, which is, I think, almost about to expire. Yeah, another minute, that one's gone. Morphling zips in against the Rashta, and there's 3 of them, so Rashta doesn't know which one to disable. But things not working out too well. Sentinel is pushing this 7th tower, and we see Windrunner's actually middle lane. She might get killed. She's in danger of being stunned by the Sven, which would be trouble for her. But no, she appears to be fine. The Necrolite is actually teleported bottom to farm even more. He's just a farming maniac this game. And again, I think maybe he could have, I don't know, a lot Morphling. They were right at the tower, so I guess Morphling couldn't be at 2 places at once. And this Windrunner being very aggressive. We see her pushing the tower, or not the tower, but pushing very far out, almost alone. There is the Lich who is just sort of hiding out of sight of the other team. This Morphling going in for a solo kill against the Potom. Oh, he almost gets it. One more right click would have done it, but that is not one right click that he's going to get. And he is continuing just to apply pressure, and his presence in lane is just constantly forcing the enemy to be here and preventing them from farming their woods or ganking blue up top or doing other things. I'm surprised we haven't seen a Roshan attempt yet. Anytime soon, if we see Sven's amazing bolt of direction changing. That hammer, how does he do it? So Scourge is all of them defending bottom lane, but while they're all of them defending bottom lane, blue is farming top. So that's not too good for them, the fact that they're all in one spot while the enemy team's split up. Usually, if all your team converges on one spot and you don't get any hero kills, that's a losing proposition because if nothing happens, then the enemies that you let free farm somewhere else, they basically win the battle that didn't happen. And this Morphling has a couple illusions pushing there, while meanwhile he's down bottom applying a bit of pressure. So they're going for a 2-lane push, because I guess this technology has its tower down, so any damage at all that they can do to that Rax is just invaluable. And so they're... Okay, so this Necrolight's boned. There's no way he's getting out of this one alive. See you, Necrolite. So their 2-lane push results in the Necrolite going down, and meanwhile they're doing a bit of damage to this tower, but not very much. Unfortunately, we see they decided to try and move to the middle lane, and that was a mistake, because there was no way they could have gotten there in time. The correct choice would have been to just continue to damage this tower. Morphling stayed and damaged the tower, but the rest of his team, I think, really made a mistake by choosing to try and move instead of just doing as much damage to the tower as they could have. Because Necrolite, what he did was, he basically bought time by forcing the enemy team to sort of spend time trying to kill him, and by moving instead of pushing the tower, basically they wasted the time that he bought, and he bought it dearly. It cost him his life. There's that Crystal Maiden illusion killed with great contempt. They do not like illusions of Crystal Maiden. And one thing I'll mention that's I assume they knew it was an illusion, but when you're playing against a Morphling, it is very important that you take note of what color the Morphling is. In this case, he's, I don't know, since I'm an observer and I don't need to know, he's orange. You really need to take note of what color the Morphling is. So you say to yourself, Morphling is orange. So anytime you see an orange hero, like an orange Windrunner or an orange Crystal Maiden or an orange Lich, you just know that it's an illusion. You shouldn't be surprised by Morphling replicates because you can tell by the color, can't you? Exactly. There's the spot of advice. Morphling illusion color. Pay attention to it. Unless you're colorblind. If you're colorblind, I don't know what to say, except I'm sorry, but you're bad at Dota for being colorblind. No, I'm not sorry. I apologize to any colorblind people. Dun, dun, dun. Actually, I'm a bit colorblind myself. I mean, I say that, but for instance, the Scourge colors are much harder to tell apart. Like, if you ask me what color these three heroes are, I'd be at a loss. I guess this guy's dark green. This one's light blue. Is that one brown? See, no, I didn't get it right. The Rash is gray. These colors, the Scourge colors are too damn hard to tell apart sometimes. In any event, Roshan is going down. The Sentinel colors, however, are very easy to tell apart. They're also happy and bright. That's why I like being Sentinel more. Their colors are just so warm and inviting. I mean, Scourge is just so drab. It's depressing. Makes me sad. But colors aside, we see the Aegis picked up by the Morphling. He drops his Ring of Basilius, which is a bit sad. I mean, Ring of Basilius... Oh, never mind. It's not a bit sad. His Windrunner ally has the Ring of Basilius as well. So you really don't need two. It gives plus 6 damage, but that's about it when someone else has one. The bottom is farming it up. So, is the Earthshaker gun anywhere? No, the Earthshaker is still nowhere as close to a dagger, and the bottom is nowhere as close to being a carry. She doesn't even have her Mantis style yet, whereas the Morphling does, so. Really, just from the heroes, I like the Scourge picks just more out the gate. It was just a much more balanced lineup, so I really hope they do win, since they're in the lead quite decisively, and I think they have the better team. If they don't win, they'd really have to bungle something, I think. Scourge is in a position to make a comeback. Ooh, that's actually, I'll mention what happened there in a second. As we see a great ult from the Earthshaker. La-dee-da-dee-da. But, so yeah, the Earthshaker's ultimate helped them pick up a kill, and something else that I'll mention, but Earthshaker doing some more stunning to pick off this Crystal Maiden. This is actually going very well for their team. They're even about to get the Windrunner. Okay, what I'll mention, the very important thing that happened there is Lich popped his ultimate, and his ultimate bouncing around would have killed. It was in a great position to absolutely destroy the... I'm confused. I will ignore Morphling suiciding. I'm not sure... Oh, he did even Aegis and he popped back? I didn't really even notice. I just saw Morphling appear out of nowhere. I guess he had an Aegis and he just respawned there. But yes, so Lich was about to kill their entire team with his ultimate bouncing around, but The Brana, the Priestess of the Moon, actually used her ultimate, which made her team invisible. And just as Lich's ultimate was flying out and about to kill them all, they all became invisible thanks to Potom. And I think that really turned the battle. Potom's ultimate, I think, really saved them from Lich's ultimate, which really helped them win that fight the way they did. So after that battle, things are much more even. I'll just take a look at the level count. The Potom is up to level 18, and she has her Manta style, so big difference there now that she has her Manta style. And the Earthshaker has his Blink Dagger. So I said this a long time ago that this game, if it was going to turn around, it would happen when the Earthshaker got his Blink Dagger. And now that he has a Blink Dagger, I think Scourge really can win it. Before, they weren't in a position to win any team fights, and I really think Scourge or Sentinel should have managed to push a lane of Raxes. I think it was poor play on their part that they had an advantage for such a long time. They could not capitalize on it by taking out a lane of Raxes, and now they have to deal with the Blink Dagger Earthshaker, who is absolutely capable of making the team battles very one-sided and just ruining your day. So I still think Scourge is behind. I wouldn't bet money on them at this point, but they are stars by Gigabyte, and they do have a Blink Dagger Earthshaker. So I will not count them out. However, the Necrolite is just inches away from picking up a Voidstone and finish off a Sheepstick, and that's a pretty big ticket item. It's not actually that huge an item because a Sheepstick is more useful depending on how useful the disable on it is, and there's really no hero that disabling is like a clutch game-winning thing. They don't have anyone who's super dangerous. The Sven has his VKB. If he can disable the Potom before she splits her mantas, or even after, that's pretty big. But his Scepter is pretty deadly, though. I mean, I don't really like Scepter as an item too much. It's decent. I mean, it's not. Don't keep in mind, it's not just for improving your ultimate. That's a bit underwhelming. The other useful part of it is that it gives 10 strength and a couple hundred hit points, so it helps your survivability some too, like a Vanguard would. But what it doesn't give is hit point regen, but your Necrolite you don't need hit point regen, so yeah, I guess. So Morphling has popped into the replicate, and they're going for a push, but this, I think this battle will be decisive. If Earthshaker can turn it around into like a team stomp for his team, then that's like GG, but if not, and if they lose this lane, then it's over. So we see Earthshaker in the back. His Blink Dagger is going to be the key to this battle. Actually, scratch that, the battle might not even happen. I'm depressed now. Come on. Get to fighting. Lich is tempting being caught out of position. Actually, he drops a ward up here, which is a pretty darn useful ward. A bit risky. Sven didn't have... No one on their team really had a Blink Dagger to come down the hill, so he was pretty safe. Oh, the ward is being counter-warded. That's the problem with dropping a ward in an obvious manner like Lich did there. It's just going to get counter-warded. So it was a good ward, but a good ward that the enemy sees you placing is never a good ward. It's a bad ward because it gets counter-warded. So they have quite a few... They have two sentry wards. They're... Oh... Was that one too close to the tower? It must have been too close to the tower. There's sentry wards all over the place, but actually I haven't mentioned, I really should have mentioned by now that the Lich went Necrobook. He's had that for a while, and hasn't been doing very much with it. There he just kind of sent them forward and kind of wasted them, and they give a fair amount of gold to the enemy team as well.